Alrighty, guys. It is 3:30 this Monday, September 8th, and I'm just sitting here watching market going sideways. A little bit of weakness in the afternoon. They're right down to support, and I'm just watching it, thinking like, okay, are we going to try to take it out or not? So at this point, it's holding. Well, we'll see if they can hold it into the close. We got that last half hour where pretty much anything can happen. So chances are it's going to hold. I just got myself out of a Nasdaq trade I didn't like, so. I scratched it, but I mean, as you can see, I had to twist in the wind for a while there. That was right here, right now. But it's the ES, and they re not quite a good retest. I'm watching it not as the I was expecting a run down here to that level, the 64.90 didn't quite make it there, so I kind of hesitated on the ES. Otherwise, I was watching for a retest there too. But since they've been bouncing against the mean and haven't been able to trade up above it. So for a while there, I was thinking like short side of the market. That's why I was a little bit hesitant. But I tried a long trade on the Nasdaq since I the as long as they stayed above that 64.90 on the Nasdaq, we are still above the levels where we still range bound, and overall the morning strength is still holding. So uh, we'll see if they can hold that level, the 64.90s, or not going into the close. The news for tomorrow is anemic. We have a small business optimism in this guy at 6, and that's about it. So 3-year auction at 1. Not much to look at on this one. So at this point, I'm basically at this point, it's probably going to be like twisting in the wind tomorrow. We'll see how the market's going to feel. But it's actually not bad. If you don't have a lot of news to drive the market, you get a good sense if there's some strength in it or not. Right now, it looks like we're backing off that edge. So, okay, it's held. It held. That's a good sign. Looking at the Nasdaq and the bonds, and you can just, it's so typical. I can watch it now after the fact, say I should have stayed in it. I'm watching this. This is my trade right there. See it? I was in that. They're looking at that retest, got in when it started backing off a bit and got stuck twisting in the wind. I had my stop pretty close to that low. I read outside of that level. I had it a lot lower, but I tightened it up after they started failing, started hesitating. But this run down here was a potential fake out. Could have definitely been a spot where it shook me out, and it got close. It got to within maybe 3 points of stopping me out. So that was a close call. And then it started retracing, and then when I got up to break even, I got out of that trade. I was sitting here twisting in the wind. Um, this is just me. Sometimes you can sit through that kind of a trade and say, fine, I'm just going to let it sit and develop. But if it's not developing fast enough, you really want to scratch the trade, even if it works out after the fact. That's not the point. The point is that if it's not doing what you expected it to do, get out of the trade. You can always buy in again after the fact, a little bit later. It doesn't stop you. You had to pay commission again, but so on. So here we have a big pop to the upside, and look at that reversal right back down again. So we'll see what it ends up on end period. But if they start taking this lower, just stay on the short side of this. At this point, this is the test on the Nasdaq, which had to hold. It's same as the ES had to be in a spot. Nasdaq, the 720s here. This morning was that lower edge. These two level were the lower edges I was watching for, but since they've been holding above it all day, if they take out that day session low, I would be a lot more aggressive on the short side and see how far they can take it. So we'll see if it holds. But if they take out this low, I would be on the short side of this. So, so I tried that one long trade at $2 just to scratch that trade. So you're just sitting here twisting in the wind for a while. Now watch this here. See if it actually turns into one of these. They said it ran it high like that, turns around, start heading lower, takes out the low. Now that would be one of those FU trades, you know. This is like just sucking everyone in on the long side, support held, everyone piling on the way up. He has to find himself caught. And we'll see if that it turns out to be the case or not. And then touch on that before we wrap up here. Bond market is still to the upside, holding on. Yields are low, getting lower, and we are trading higher on the bond market. So stay on the long side on the bonds, look to buy weakness down to that 1630 to 117. Rotations back up. That's the bond market, but yields coming down. That's a good sign. That's going to be helping the stock market, I think. And then the reason it helps the stock market, if you didn't know, it's called net present value of a company's valuation. That is when you take cash flow going out 5, 10 years, whatever it is, and you discount it using the current interest rate back to present value. So a lower rate gives you a higher valuation, higher rate gives you a lower valuation. That's what it is. Looking at the NASDAQ, also looking at the oil and gold side of things. So gold popped pretty good, just went sideways. This is what gold does. It runs right up early on morning up to that London close. Then afternoons tend to be pretty anemic. So we can see a stall at 36.75. But I would stay on the long side, look for the overnight, potentially to take it higher. It could be a retest of these lows at the 36.53s or the 62.63s. I would look to buy those if that happens for rotations back up. So that's the way I would trade it. Below that London low, sorry, below the day session low at 53s, I would not be super aggressive on buying it anymore. And on oil, pretty much sideways action. They traded up a little bit. The reverse retest at 63.20 has not been able to trade up above it. I would still start off range bound, but at this point, since it's holding below that 63.20s, I would look for a retest of that low at 61.40s. And if that low comes out, we may see oil making a new low. We can take out this low and potentially extend back into the price discovery again. So oil is in a interesting spot right now. We'll see. I haven't traded either of those two. Gold is a little bit too volatile. Oil is too many cross currents, so I'm just kind of sitting on the sidelines on it. And as I said in this morning, we're rolling to the December contract after this week. So they delayed the roll date from Thursday to Friday. So we're going to still trade the September expiration through Friday, to the end of Friday. And then we're going to roll going into Monday's trading, as you know. All right, so here's ES, and okay, so it looks like they had a little FU rundown, but Nasdaq is back up again, and we'll see if Nasdaq can make a go out of it. But I'm out of that trade, as I said. When a trade doesn't do what you expect it to, you're either too early or you're too late to the trade, and it doesn't quite develop the way you thought, and just get out of it. You know. It's better than to sit in a trade, twisting in the wind and watching the algos running it up and down and potentially shake you out of the trade. But we saw a bit last update, we talked about that knockdown, right? We talked about the potential for rotation down, and it happened right after that 130 talk. They ran it lower, a pretty good one at that, and that's just because they're trying to take it higher. They can't do it, and they just finally so many times to the level they just kind of and knock it down. It's actually a bit earlier than that. It's up here against the. So here we are up. Remember that at the London close 1, 2, 3. Third time to the level, could not take it higher. Ran it right down to the mean. And here's your knockdown. Put in the text. So that's your knockdown. And if you bought the mean, had a nice trade there for a short while, but then here's your afternoon weakness. So that's when that doesn't kind of materialize. And this is hard to trade. I would not trade this one or call it trade. I would call the trade down here at bouncing off the mean. And that's a pretty aggressive trade. So you have to be prepared to kind of step in front of it here at the mean because you don't get a lot of chances to it. Either you get run over or it's going to work out for you. So it's just one or the other. And it happens pretty quick. But if it runs down hard to the mean like that, it's worth the potential shot. The better trade would have been to fade this third time to the level when it starts taking this lower. Remember, I talked about potentially getting short there. I was waiting for it, and then retest to the high. It didn't happen. No, sorry, that was this level. That was not I was looking at that side. I wasn't looking at trading that third retest, but we called it out in the analysis, and when the 11:30 update, third time to the level, if they can't take it higher, we may see someone cover, and they did cover and then some. So. All right, so there we are. There we have it. Let's see if they can hold this going into the close now, or if they're going to knock out the lows. Nasdaq is heading higher, so I think we may have a shot at holding on to the gains here going into the close. All right, so we'll leave it there, and I'll see you back bright and early in the morning. Guys, have a good evening. Later.